Doodle Crew friends! We're here, we're happy, we're gonna do some drawing. And honestly, I'm just gonna jump right in because Geoff and I need to catch up with Joey. So we're gonna go around real quick. We're gonna say where you can find us and what we're doing, and I'll give you a quick thing. We're doing one character, many styles. So we're gonna take a existing character of any sort and then draw them in a number of different styles. So say where people can find you and which character you're doing and which styles you're doing. So Geoff, going to you first.
Okay, cool. Hi, I'm Geoff. You can find me on Twitter at GMUNNY. I am on Instagram and Facebook as Geoff Munn, so you can find me in those places as well. And I also have a Patreon that's at patreon.com/pocketscience, and I post exclusive comics and stuff there as well. I am drawing Jonny Quest today. I've never really taken him on, so I'm going to draw him in 4 different styles: Powerpuff Girls, Adventure Time, regular show, and Batman the Animated Series.
Ooh, I'm excited. Oh, excited. Yay. All right. And Joey, to you, Mr.
Hello.
Prepared.
Yes. Find me everywhere on the internet at SlootyMage. Listen to new episodes of the At Older and Dumber podcast every Friday, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I am drawing my new brand's namesake, Slooty, in 8 different styles. I had already started this, so I have an unfair head start on my friends today.
You came prepared. That is okay. I was curious. I was going to ask because I knew this was a character that I'd seen you draw a few times, but I didn't know if she had a name.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exciting. I like it. All right, so I'm Swan. I'm at a Swan named Emily all across the internet, which is where you can find me. If you want to find more Doodle Crew stuff, we are at Doodle Crew Draw all over the internet. So we're posting old episode art. If you want to watch episodes, previous episodes, or interviews, those are all over on my YouTube, which you can find. And I'm pretty sure now that handles have been introduced. I think you can just do youtube.com/a Swan named Emily. I think that's the thing now. I'm very excited. So you can find all of that stuff over there. I am taking Kim Possible, who I realize I have drawn before, but we're here now, so we're going with it anyways. But I'm going to draw her in Pokemon style, adventure style, Studio Ghibli style, and then also my own personal style, because I think that's a little bit different from her style. So yeah. Also super fun. Recently at the Twin Tiers Comic-Con, Joey and I got to do a panel with Older and Doodle.
We
Just
did. It was super fun. Big fun. And we are talking about doing this again.
Bringing it back. Yeah.
But we don't really have the details fleshed out for that yet. No, just know that it's coming in the future.
Means you have to follow us to find out, because it's constantly a surprise to you as well as to me. Yeah, it's been crazy lately. Well, and it's also, we've run into recently where we've had some illnesses. I've had some crazy schedule changes, so things are a little bit less fully formed than they have been in previous times. So that's okay.
Lots of scheduling.
Yeah, we're past halfway through this season, which is exciting.
Holy smokes! It seems like we just put the call out for episodes.
I know. I'm trying to get us wrapped up by. I don't think I can do it before the end of this year, so I think it's going to be January, just because we're going to end up doing like 3 episodes a week, which I don't know if I've got it in me. So, but yeah. Okay. But Emily, why would you save your reference photo? That would just be so silly. There you go.
Oh, you mean you're not doing all these from memory?
Yeah, if you want to see how good I am at drawing from memory, there's a whole Doodle Crew episode about it. And spoilers, I'm not great. Especially at Hanna-Barbera characters. Holy cow. Like, there were some where I'm like, okay, I vaguely have an idea. And others where I'm just like, I don't remember what this character looks like. It's fine. No, it's tricky. Well, and it's something I know the three of us especially offer to do commissions and everything. And especially at shows, people always ask, they're like, do you know this character? And, part of my response is I'm like, nope, but if the internet does, I can.
Yep.
I was like, if you need me to intimately know them, then no, I can't help you there. But if you just need me to look up a picture and draw it, I can do that. That's a thing I can do. Hello, Guardian Randy. Welcome, welcome. Happy Saturday. Right. Okay, so I have specific questions for both of you because I feel like you both not only have a very clear style that I associate with you, but you also have an incredibly specific but practical amount. Like you use an economy of line work. That's what it is. Those are the words I got there. But no, you're very purposeful with all of your lines, and I think it lends itself very well to a cartoon style. So where did your path to finding your style go to get to that? I ask questions so that I have time to draw.
Let's see. Well, I drew. So if we're talking about the root and where styles probably initially came from, I watched a lot of the Sunbow cartoons in the 80s. So when I was a little kid, I was trying to mimic that. And so those all have to be really clean for animation, right? There was very little line work in G.I. Joe and Transformers. It was just outlining what they needed, right? And not a lot of extra line economy there. And then teenage years hit. I started getting into some anime. There's arguably a more extensive line use in that, but it is all for a purpose. So you might get some hash marks and stuff, but it all still has to be animated, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just be willy-nilly with it when you're laying it down. So more so, I think my art came from the stuff I was watching more than comic books and stuff. So I developed a more simple line technique. I was into comics, but that's not what I was drawing. So
yeah,
most of it came from cartoons, and I think that's where. And to this day, you're watching me do it right here. I'm vector lining in my final lines because the OCD part of my brain says my lines need to be clean. Those final lines need to be coloring book clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I wish I could turn off that part of my brain because it's inconvenient at times.
Mm-hmm.
When you're painting a mural on a 30-foot by 90-foot wall, you don't have to have the crispest outlines. It's okay. You can let it go. No, brain? Okay, great. Love that for me.
Yeah, I think I had to backtrack to get to this, because I did, I grew up in the same cartoons, but I got into comics and then felt that was the way I needed to draw for a while. So I was trying to mimic that for a long time, and I struggled a long time with it as well until it dawned on me that I could still draw cartoony and still draw comics. Because for the longest time we had those hyper muscled stuff like Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that I tried to mimic and I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And then I think it was around the time when Joe Madureira came out, and obviously that became a huge style change because his was obviously infused with anime and American comic books together. and you could see that it wasn't the same, but it was still really awesome. So it was like, okay, well, this can happen. And then I was like trying to force myself into that kind of thing. It just never happened. And I, went to animation school, and you learn that a lot of stuff you have to break stuff down and make it, shapes like we were talking before the show. And I think that's where it just kind of hit me, where I was like, oh, I can kind of change things up a bit. And I think it was, just that shift in animation kind of happened as well, like where it went from like when we were growing up, cartoons were there to sell toys and whatever, and now and it's really kind of with I was listening to a podcast the other day that kind of mentioned this. That it was when Batman the Animated Series came out where things kind of changed for animation. Like that show wasn't made to sell toys. That show was made to be a cool show. Mm-hmm. And that's when, and now we have that everywhere. Like that's what the big boom is about now. It's just like, let's get some cool stories out there. And I think that kind of really helped my brain just be like, it's okay to draw this way and do this. So like I started to simplify a lot, and like minimalistic style started to come out in the early 2000s. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. And this is easier for me. And it's something that I'm getting better at. So it's like, that encouraged me to continue going down that road. And I just kind of embraced it and went that way.
Yeah, I like how you said it, like finding out it was okay to like do things a certain way. Like that really, it frustrates me about my younger self because I lacked so much confidence in my art and in myself that like I needed someone to tell me it was okay to draw the way that I did. Cause I think I spent a lot of time finding a style, and it really, so very much kind of like what Joey was saying, I was super, super influenced. I was a Disney kid. I was specifically like a Disney princess kid. That's what I wanted to draw. It was that and magical ponies and magical kitties and just sparkle princess magic as much as I could get my hands on. And so then, I appreciate them so much more now. But when you have stuff like Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy coming out, like childhood Emily had no interest in it. Because I'm like, these are gross. And I hated the Rugrats and I hated Ed, Ed, and Eddie. And I'm just like, I don't like any of this stuff. And so, you watch that. I pushed so hard then into anime and specifically like, Magic Girl anime. But again, like Joey was saying, I was like, none of these are like Disney is simplistic to a certain way, but it's not super simplistic. And so like I had all of that influence going into animation school. And now I need to start making all of these things move and everything. And I was like, I can't draw the way that I usually draw and still get my projects done. Mm-hmm. Like there's too much. I lack the skills to be able to make this work for me. And I really struggled too then when things started to move towards like the Adventure Time style, because it's so far from anything I normally do. I'm trying to think of, there was one that kind of happened before that where I was starting to feel the like, oh my gosh, like I don't draw this way. I don't know how to make cartoons look like that. So yeah, I definitely faltered for a while in all of that, trying to figure out how to match a style with something that I could make work in my brain. Terrible, terrible garbage brain.
Yeah, your brain will lie to you often.
It just constantly. Which is really, it's very inconvenient. It was funny. I was showing my students the other day artwork that I had made in middle school and in high school, and then stuff I'd made in college. And I was specifically showing them a model sheet of a character. And I was like, here, I am specifically trying to, make a readable character that is very simplistic, and, kind of talking about that. So it was interesting. And I hope it was helpful for them to see, because I realize it's very difficult to look at someone's art that you think is better than yours and believe that they weren't always that good. Mm-hmm. Again, not that I'm speaking from any personal experience on any of this.
I know one point for me was having an instructor be like, you draw beautifully, but how are you going to animate this? And like pointing out all the things and being like, maybe I don't care about this moving.
Yeah.
And that put me more towards like illustration and I think it's all like, it's always a quest, right, to find your style. Because I don't know about the two of you, but I'm always like picking up new things. Like I'll see something somebody else is doing and be like, oh, let me try that. And then it'll sort of morph into some hybrid into my style. And
Yep. Yeah, constantly. And I have to laugh, and I try and tell my students this because I think it is helpful. And we've talked about it before. It's not like I can go back and change it, so I might as well be cool with how things went. But I didn't figure out that what I actually wanted to do was comics until after I'd already graduated with an animation degree, and then found someone who was like, hey, you should do comics, and then gave me a script, and I was like, this is storyboarding and character design. These are the two things I loved the most about animation. I'm like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. So, here I am with my 4-year degree and finally figuring out like how it actually works and what I actually want to do with my art. And
that moment that it dawns on you that that's what comics are, you're like, man.
Yeah. And again, I'm very grateful, and it feels very good. I've had a number of people who've looked at my comic work and commented on how it has a lot of movement and how it has a lot of personality, and my characters are very expressive. So I'm grateful for all the information that I got from school, because I know that has helped me. But it was definitely like in my own personal brain, I'm like, you dummy. Like, this was here the whole time, but you had to spend 2 years slogging your way, being crap at 3D art and trying to make it work. It's like, you know what I never got better at? Maya. Nope, just never did.
I still hate that that's forced upon people. Like, you have no desire to do this? Too bad. We're going to focus like a year of your college degree on this.
So much time.
Like, I don't think it's necessary at all.
And
like, I wish our program would do that. Like, we only have 3 instructors, but we each actually are focused on certain things. So like, one guy is the 3D guy, one guy's the motion graphics guy, and I'm the 2D guy. Like, I wish we could split. I wish they could at one point, because it's a 4-year degree, so I wish at one point during their thing they could just go, okay, I want to focus on 3D. I want to focus on motion graphics. I want to focus on 2D. But we're just not there at this point. I think we need more. We probably just need more instructors, A, and B, I think it needs to be a discussion that we need to have. So.
Yep. Well, and I think too, it's, again, as I got older and I was able to do more research, I looked at other schools that had programs that were more like that. So, it's definitely like, oh, it can be done, but you just have to be lucky enough to be at like this specific school that does it. And I had such wonderful 3D professors, but I just like, now from the teacher side of it, I'm like, I know I have some of these students who I look at them and are just like, this isn't what you want to do. You're so miserable and you're trying so hard, but this is just not you. Yeah.
I had a student last semester where his focus was like, he was a stop motion dude, and like he was in it's like their third 2D animation slot. So he'd been already done like the first 2 and then won the third one, and he's just like, man, I wish I could just, can I do this animation stop motion? I'm like, no, dude, we have to learn how to do stuff in this.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, all right. But I was just like, then they showed me the stop motion stuff. I'm like, you should definitely be doing this. It's just like, he's struggling to draw. Like, because some people can't draw, but they can still animate like nobody's business,
Absolutely.
or design in 3D like you could, you wouldn't believe, but they just can't put the basic drawing and stuff because it's just not there. And it's just like,
Yep.
I wish you could just focus on this, because you're going to have sucky grades in this class, but your 3D stuff or your other stuff just looks phenomenal. So like, I don't want this to discourage you. So like, I have a screenwriter in my fundamentals of design class this semester. He can't draw. He's a writer, probably hasn't picked up a pencil to draw since he was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I can't be grading him on the same scale as someone who's been drawing for 18 plus years and has clearly, studied how to draw things. I'm just like, and we do critiques every week, so everybody sees everybody's work, but I'm just like, I can't say that this is the same, skill level, so I can't like grade you the same way. Like, did he try to do what we went over? Yes. Okay, well then he gets a decent grade. Like, does it look like my 9-year-old drew it? Yes. But
yeah.
I don't need somebody walking out of a class being like, I can't do this, I'm quitting school because like, look at these grades. Like, it's just not the right class for you. You've got stuff to do other stuff.
Yep. Well, and I remember I was talking to a friend of mine who was going to start teaching some animation classes, and I was, he asked me, he's like, so what was your experience like? And I was just like, oh boy.
How much time do you have?
Well, which part would you like me to talk about? But one thing I said was, I can speak to my personal experience, which was a kid who wasn't a writer. And I didn't come to class with a ton of OCs. But I was like, you give me a prompts list and have me build a character, I'm set. I'm good. Like, I will get there. I struggled to get started in that because I didn't know. I'm like, everything that I do is usually fan art of something that already exists. So I spend more time working on like the drawing part of it and bringing people's characters to life because that's what I love. I don't love the just ideation out of my brain, but you give me like, here's 3 little keywords. And I was like, okay, good. I'm good. I'm gone. Nope, I'm set now. And so I was like, if you could just have a couple of facets for those kids who don't already come in with ideas in the chamber ready to go. Like, I was like, that's my personal experience. Cause I remember sitting there in class and just being like head empty panic because I didn't have a character ready to just sketch. I'm like, shit, I don't know. What are characters? I don't know anything. So. Nuts. And like we've said multiple times, the number of times where I've had, 10 years later had something click where I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they were trying to get out of me. And like, this is why this is important. I'm just like, God, that would have been so great in the moment.
Yeah. Where were you 20 years ago? Stupid brain.
Stupid brain. Hunter just yelling from chat, witness me. Also, hello, Voice of Hunter. Hello, Forging Winton. Hi, friends. Also, Hunter calling you out. Joey says, that's just Marceline.
Well, I don't know if you've looked at the character designs of Adventure Time recently, Hunter. But the ladies all look like Marceline.
Yeah. Okay, also, like, I'm totally going to go with it, and I'm not backing down from it, but I decided to take Kim Possible and Roufus and do them like San and the Water Dragon. And I'm just realizing how creepy it's going to look when I color the Water Dragon like Roufus, which is just pink. Just a big pink snake that I made here. Great. Good. I was like, nope, but we're here now. We're just going to go with it. So bad. It's fine. Everything is fine. This actually leads well into my next point, which was I also wish there had been more time for pre-production in some of the smaller classes. Like I'm going to say it right now, and I'm going to very clearly demonstrate it. Not all ideas are winners. They might be, but they might need to evolve a little bit before you lean into them. And we were on such a short time frame to come up with the original characters, make a model sheet, create an animation, and have it done in this short amount of time. And I was like, there wasn't any process. There wasn't any talking through or revision or, it was, did you get the model sheet done with the correct number of characters and did they all look the same? Rather than being like, hey, this might be like, let's talk about this character. And I get, again, it puts a lot on the teachers and everything, but that was something I always wished, because I was like, I feel like I pushed through with projects that weren't good because I just had to get the animation done.
Yeah. Yeah, my animation students were confused this week because I gave them a 5-point turnaround to do because we talked about appeal. And I was like, they're like, are we animating this? I was like, no. They're like, what do you mean? I go, you have to draw 5 iterations of your character in proportion in a model sheet. They're like, but we have 2 weeks to do it? I was like, yes, because there's no class next week. They're like, okay. And some of them literally turn them in like before the end of class. I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, I finished it. I was like, yeah, but these lines aren't straight. Like, this stuff doesn't line up. Like, you guys have to, like, this should be appealing, and we should actually be able to take all of these and stack them on top of each other and then scrub through a timeline, and it'll turn perfectly.
Right.
And they're like, oh. I was like, yeah, redo it and turn it in like 2 weeks when you get it done.
Oh, buddy.
Yeah, this nice try. It's not a get it done and walk away. This one takes a little bit of time. I had one person design a character that had so much like stuff on their shirt, and I was like, your animators are gonna hate you. They're like, what do you mean? I was like, the more details you put into the shirts, the more likely your animators are gonna kill you.
Yep.
Isn't it just a map? Don't we just I was like, yeah, 3D. If it's a 3D character, then you can just paint it on and whatever. But if this is a 2D character, guess what? You gotta draw that every time.
Yep.
What do you think of that? I was like, yeah, well, now you know.
Those moments where I didn't think of that in your brain. You're like, no, I know.
That's why I'm telling you.
I know you didn't.
That's what I'm saying. Because I have had to deal with characters that only had a number on their stupid shirt. You can't mirror them because you have to flip the number too. And
oh, that's so bad.
That is enough to make me angry, let alone like polka dots and stripes.
Oh, jeez. Oh. More noodly, Emily. More noodly.
Push those shapes.
Curve ears, right? Yeah, you kind of don't. Yeah. Ha! Let's hide the ears. Love it. Here for it.
What can I get away with not drawing?
The old Rob Liefeld technique.
Let's just add some rocks and pop some smoke.
Yeah. Well, I'm realizing, and again, I'm not going to back off from it because this is who I am as a person, but like Roufus, kind of looks terrifying in some other styles. I'm like, I gotta up your cuteness, bud, because you just look like a monster. Oh, I'm so sorry. There you go. All right. Okay, so I will admit I have been in the mood to get a new Pokemon game, but watching all of the issues that are happening right now, I'm like, perhaps I will wait to get one for my Switch.
Yeah. I can't believe that got shipped.
Yeah, like I'm confused, honestly.
There's really no excuse in this day and age to ship something this janky.
Well, and I feel like also it's not like it's a new thing where they're like, we've got to get it out to capitalize on the holiday season because we're launching this brand new thing. Like, you can literally bank on the name of this.
Yep.
So
you're a Pokemon game. You're going to make money. Just take the time to do it right. And now you have to deal with what's going on now and people saying don't buy the game because it is how it is.
Right. What up, SDF Network? Hello. We're doing one character, multiple style challenge. Yeah. Yes, kind of. SDF Network asked if I see a Gravity Falls style character. That's similar to the style that you mentioned, Jeff, and then I immediately forgot the name of.
Which one? This one right here is like regular show.
That's the one. Thank you.
Yeah, the mostly noted by the hands being kind of just squiggly hands, and the eyes are always right next to each other, and the nose being like just a droopy mess.
They're so droopy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I will admit, and I'm not proud of this fact, but regular show is one that I have slept on.
Ooh.
And yeah, I know. Like I need to watch it because I hear good things about it.
It is literally what an animated kiosk would have been like had I ever had the ambition to do it.
Okay.
Right? but with animal characters instead of just all humans, like my comic was.
That's very cool.
Yeah, regular show is definitely one of those ones that like sneaks up on you too. Like,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is just kind of dumb, but it's fun. And next thing you know, you're like invested into it, and you're like 4 seasons deep. Like, Mordecai, how could you do that?
Oh yeah, the big he's going after a different girl type thing. Like for the longest time, he's always after one girl, and then all of a sudden another one comes in, and people are just like, "What is going on?" Relax, it's a cartoon, guys.
But I'm invested. Well, it's good motivation, SDF Network. It means we'll both have to start putting in some time and rewatching it. I'll give you a big old tail. Okay. I think I might have redeemed Roufus in Pokemon. He's looking cuter now.
Strong as a Diglett.
That's a good idea. Yeah, oh, that's not going to look dirty at all. Oh, gosh. It's fine. All right. The other one I desperately need to finish is Gravity Falls.
Oh, that's an easy one. It's only 2 seasons.
I know. This is the way I indicate of how bad I truly am at this. I just don't watch things. Well, and I think I was talking to someone, and it was somewhat true with She-Ra, but it was super true with the new Voltron. Like with She-Ra, I was super enjoying it, and I was like, this is great, but it makes me want to draw. And so I have this thing where a lot of shows that I watch, I justify sitting and watching them because I can like sit and do art while I'm doing it or have it on while I'm working. And if it's a show I really like the animation of, I'll either get distracted and want to draw or not be able to like do stuff while I'm watching it, and then my brain explodes. And yeah. Yep.
New Voltron was so good.
It is so pretty. It's so pretty. So I'll tell you, like, that was it's Avatar, it's Legends of Korra, it's the Lego Elves movie or TV show that had one season that I really loved. Pretty much anything out of Studio Mirror, and I'm just like, I want that to be me. Can that be me? Please let me. That's what I want. That's what I want my drawings to all look like. Again, did not know that in college. And then it came out and I was like, oh, that's it. It's the perfect blend of Disney and anime. I found it.
What cartoon do you think really changed the game for modern cartoons?
Ooh, that's a good question.
It's asked by SDF Network.
Changed the game for modern cartoons. I mean, it's kind of on the nose for what we're drawing, but I think Adventure Time.
Yeah,
I think you see an incredible pivot point from Adventure Time.
Yeah.
On previous to that,
I think Geoff made a good point earlier about Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
And what that meant for what you could do with animated stuff, at least in a syndicated fashion. Being able to tell stories with it more instead of just selling toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 80s were just, it was all toys. Like, it was just, I mean, as much as I love, and I mean love, G.I. Joe, Transformers, and stuff that came out then, you know, looking back, it's nowhere near as good
They're
as.
not good. Like the miniseries that they did were probably the high points of everyone.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, this is, you know, a thing that exists.
Yeah. I mean, when you got a Transformer falling in love with a mermaid, there's a lot to be said. But yeah, it was, you know, it was just crap. And just looking at the animation is also very, very bad because they sent it up to so many different studios and they would miscolor or have the wrong people talking or whatever.
It's so wild watching like the G.I. Joe movie and the Transformers movie and then watching the series compared to it.
Yeah, it's not good. But yeah, and I just think that was, like I said, it wasn't necessarily, my original, it's not my thought, but once I heard it, it was definitely, yes, that makes sense. Like when it was said that Batman the Animated Series just changed a lot for animation at the time, because then we had stuff like Gargoyles came out around the same time too from Disney. And that's exactly it. There were, I don't think they had toys before for that. I mean, maybe they did, but that's around the same time period. And then the second, I think the second change really did kind of come. I would argue the second change came around when Cartoon Network started making their originals. So like Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls and stuff like that was kind of a second one. And then the biggest one for now, that's the most recent, would definitely be like the Adventure Time switch over to like what we have, what we're having now, which is a huge renaissance now that they're all being killed. But
not just killed, but also them like literally desecrating the corpses. Like,
yeah.
Oh wow, you did a terrible thing, and oh no, wow, you kept making it worse. Great.
Yeah. The people in charge should not be in charge, obviously, but like it's horrendous to tell a creator, let alone all the people who worked on the show, that your show basically doesn't even exist, and you can't make money off of it, and you'll never see it again.
Yeah.
Like that's. Oof.
And I think especially, it's a weird thought process, but it's the like growing up when you caught it on TV and you popped a videotape into the VCR to record it. Like we had an expectation of media not being permanent and not being able to go back and watch it again. And like, I think that's why some of the stuff is so beloved, because if you could rewatch it, it just made it that much more special to you. But we had moved so far beyond that, that now, like, the idea of it just being wiped, and I was like, no to that, not anymore. Come on. So SDF Network, the big one that I know, and I know Geoff can speak on this more, is Infinity Train. Is one that's just so what they did is they're removing them from streaming services, and also like I'll let you speak, because I think you can explain it better than I can. But
so
in a way that eliminates the creator's ability to make money from it anymore.
It's not even just that; it's worse. So Discovery bought Warner Brothers, and they merged. The head of Discovery hates animation and loves reality TV, which is what you see on Discovery Network, right? So he has made it his mission to eliminate as much animation as possible from the WB lineup. So everything, Cartoon Network's part of that. So Cartoon Network Studios used to be its own building. Now it got pulled into the WB. It's just a small studio now within the Warner Brothers Animation Studio house. And then any show that got cut, Infinity Train being like one of the first ones. It's not only wiped from streaming. They will no longer be selling anything for it, and it's being used as a tax write-off. So if they say that it was a complete loss and they use it as a tax write-off, so they can, basically save money, that means it can never be sold or shown ever again. So it was also wiped off of YouTube. Every iteration that you could find of it is gone. And that creator can no longer, since they initially signed a contract saying with Warner Brothers or Cartoon Network or whatever, saying that we're partners in this, or you have or you sold it, right? You sold your rights to this. It's gone, and it's almost as if it never existed, because you can't find it anywhere. You'll never see it again. It'll never be sold again. They'll never be able to make money. And it's happened to 38 shows. Or 38 animated shows now are on the list of shows that have been either canceled while it's still in production or just eliminated completely. So yeah, things are bad. And then just recently, the head of Disney said that animation is not for adults; it's for kids, and he wants to do less of it. Are you kidding me? You're Disney. He faced a lot of backlash for that, so I think he kind of backtracked on that a little bit, but. Really? Like, really?
Like, again, these are the ones where I'm like, I know I don't have big CEO energy, but like, could you have learned anything from what comics have gone through in the last 20 years? And how you're like, nope, you make good stuff, and all of the adults now who loved it as kids will come out in droves to support it. Look at this. Look at all this money you can have. Yeah. Yeah, the scrubbing it from like YouTube and shit like that, where I'm just like, this is so sinister. Like, this is evil corporate company in a cartoon level of bananas bullshit.
Yeah, he's not a good dude at all. So, kids, if you want to be an animator, you have show creations that you want to create, do it yourself.
Yeah.
YouTube exists. Do it yourself.
Yeah.
Which can happen. It can be done. I worked for Cyanide and Happiness for a little while, and they did all their stuff through YouTube. And I've worked for Newgrounds, or what was their name? Maybe? I don't know. It was a while ago. But I worked for other studios that have built YouTube studios. But they own everything, and then they just monetize everything on YouTube, and that's how they get the word out. Spindle Horse Studios, which does Hell of a Boss, and Has Been Hotel, which is going to be coming out next year. Huge and amazing animation and everything. So, like, it's possible. It's obviously needle in the haystack type stuff. Like, not many people are going to succeed at it, but I personally, if I were creating something, I would crowdfund the crap out of that thing and try and do it myself.
Well, that's what I was just gonna say with like Has Been. I was like, so much of that was fan support, and like they leaked a little thing and people latched onto it, and it's all of these people that were Tumblr people back in the day. Like, if they like your stuff, you can rally an incredible support system of it. And I mean, I even look at like what happened with oh my goodness, I had all of the words and then they immediately just flew away. College Humor and Dorkly.
Yeah.
And you have all of that and all the bananas crap that went through with BuzzFeed. But now you've got Drawfee, which are their own entity. And they do everything they do is self-contained. And they do it by Patreon support and by selling merch and stuff like that. And, monetizing their streams. Like, you can do it. And they get to then have complete control over the stuff that they make. And that's an incredible place to be in, especially when there's no certainty.
Yeah, it's not gonna be easy. Like, so none of it's easy. Nothing is of is. But I honestly, like, I don't think I'd want to work for big, huge studio that could be, obviously that could change hands at any point in time, and the next guy in could just be like, "Nah, we're good," and then you never see your stuff again. Like, it sucks.
When I remember, again, naive child, learning for the first time, I think it was Disney at that point, but it was, if you were employed by Disney and you were working and you created something while you were employed by them, they own it.
It's theirs. It's in your contract.
And I'm like, I can't even imagine that. Like,
yes, I remember hearing that as well.
My brain just shorts out.
That immediately turned me off Disney, like, right away. Like, as soon as I heard, like, oh, I'm working for this company and it says if I make something while I work for them, it's theirs. No, I guess I don't want to work for them.
Yeah.
Not that I have the skills to work for Disney, but it definitely made me not want to pursue it.
Yeah.
It's just not cool. Like, because you create, like, we're creative people. You're going to create on your time off at home, and what do you have to do? Like, keep it a secret and, like, say, no, I waited until I no longer worked for you to make this thing that I drew.
Right.
Like, maybe.
But again, to be very sad and practical of the, like, if they really want it, they have the money. They have the money and the lawyers. And I was like, what are you going to do? What poor artist, unless they are independently wealthy, is going to be able to fight that?
I am pretty sure that things have changed there since that was, like, the big rumor, if it was even a rumor, because I follow tons of Disney artists, and they're always creating stuff that I know that, like, I see them, hey, I sell these at conventions and this and that, and it's their own stuff. So I guarantee that things have changed, especially with unions, because I'm sure most of them are unionized. So, that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that has gone away. But Disney contracts in the past also used to be gigantic. If you've ever listened to Tom Bancroft and his brother, they were both Disney animators. They have their own podcast, the Bancroft Brothers podcast, and it's amazing. They've talked about, like, what it was like to be a Disney animator in the 90s and how much money that was being thrown at them to stay because of the new studios, DreamWorks, just popping up, and they wanted to keep their animators. Like, he said that one day he walked in and it wasn't time for him to negotiate his contract even remotely. And they're like, please stay. Here's a lot more money. And he's like, okay. Like, what are you going to say? Like, he wasn't going to leave anyway. And now they're going to offer him, like, more than, 6 figures to be an animator. And he's like, okay, I'm not going to go anywhere. Like, what am I going to do? Like, yes. And he said contracts were ridiculous. And that's what happened when everything went bust. Like, when the 2D disappeared and Disney faltered in the early 2000s. Like, it's because they couldn't afford their employees anymore. They couldn't afford to pay these contracts out. So,
right around the time when I was graduating.
I know, right?
Well, and I'll also say, and again, we've talked extensively about Don Bluth, and I razz on him a lot because his movies terrified me so much as a child because they were so scary. But I've been listening to a whole bunch of podcasts recently talking about, different creative projects. Like, I just listened to one that was talking about SpongeBob and the Inception, and, like, it's the same with Batman, the animated series, and all this. Like, you pull back from these moments and you're like, had these 6 to 10 things not aligned, this wouldn't have happened. And I feel bad because in listening to the Don Bluth story, he is the one where the things don't all align. He is constantly living in bankruptcy, trying to keep his animators paid, trying to keep making these works that he wants to make. And unfortunately, fighting with Disney and distribution and things coming out at the same time. And even when I think he was objectively making better products than Disney was, he doesn't have the money to advertise it like they do. And it just, it broke my heart a little bit because I think much like when we were talking about Has Been Hotel, I think as many things, the industry is so much better when there's a lot of different people making work and exciting different ideas. You know, you get stuff of, even though he has so little to do with it, but like stuff of the team that made Nightmare Before Christmas, and you don't get so much more of these quote unquote Tim Burton works without like his staff being so removed from that and creating something that was so non-Disney. And it terrifies me about, you know, one, the monopolies of things getting bought up and all owned by the same company, and then two, literally taking it and just wiping all of the smaller creators' work away. Like, this doesn't make us better. This doesn't make the medium better.
No, I unapologetically love Don Bluth. I think it's the best stuff. Like, ever since I saw Secret of Nim, which is still to this day my favorite animated movie ever, I was hooked. And I was young, obviously, but like, I don't know what it was either. I don't know if it was. I felt like the effects artists were doing different things than what Disney was doing.
Absolutely.
And I know it's all just like light shining through like black paper to make those effects and stuff.
But still,
but it was different and it was darker. And I was still young. Like, when did Secret of Nim even come out? Like,
I feel like it was
80s, but
it's farther away than you want it to be. I'll tell you that much.
No, I'm
let's
all
all
right with
get scared.
And sad.
So it's 82. I would have been 3 years old when it came out. So obviously I didn't see it until it was like at
Later.
home, right?
Yeah. I wasn't
So it was
alive
probably a few years later than that. But like, that was like, because I saw the Transformers movie in the theaters in 86. So I was like 7 years old going to see it. And that's dark, like, especially for a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff, like that hooked me more than anything else. And then, but now as an adult, I look back and you're like, these are kids' movies. Like we've talked about this on here before. All dogs go to heaven because they die. And so, spoiler alert,
with a mob
It starts off with these dogs drown in a car because of a mob hit.
Because, like, not an accident, on purpose.
No, on purpose.
Because murder. Yeah,
hey, kids, come watch my movie.
I'm going back and rereading that plot summary because I wanted to draw the characters from that. I was just like, oh my gosh.
Charlie was not a good dog.
No.
It's a bad dog. Oh, and then, like, and I remember, like, his betrayal in the movie. Like, you understand it more as an adult because you're like, no, he's working off of what it was his personality to that point. But oh my gosh, I was like, no, the animal sidekicks are supposed to be the good guys. No.
This is our main character. What's happening?
What's happening? Yeah, tiny little Emily was not prepared for any of that. And even like, so my favorite is Anastasia. Like, I love the Swan Princess, but Anastasia stands out to me as one I just attached to and loved. But the Rasputin scenes where he's singing with all the demons and slug, I'm like, this is kind of scary too. Like, there's not a lot of this green and red used in other scary things. Like, oh god,
nothing is bright here. Everything's so dark.
It's so dark.
What's happening?
Yeah, there's something scary in like all those movies.
Oh my gosh, always. What you were saying with the way that they did the effects and the paper and everything. Also, just like I went back and I was rewatching Swan Princess. The animation effects on the water are so tight and so good. It's obscene how good they are. But you talk about paper. Batman the Animated Series did the thing where, and again, it's such a duh moment, but it hadn't been done, where they're like, hey, instead of having to paint everything black, why don't we just
do it on black paper?
Start with black paper and then build up? And you're like,
everything's so dark because we painted it on black. You're like, oh my god, that's genius. It's not even though, but it is.
But it is. And I think, and this is, it's a weird thing because, again, I don't think I would have ever had the skill sets to actually work at Disney or actually work at Warner Brothers or any of that. But there's so many of those moments where, like, I just think it would be so cool to have been a professional adult at that time working in the industry when all of this stuff was happening and like there was so much passion for it and everything. Like that would have been so cool. And I think so much of that had kind of passed by the time that I was coming into adulthood. So, you know, and it is not anything against the new cool stuff that's happening. It was just a lot of the new cool stuff when I was coming of age was all 3D and all 3D related. And I was just like, but I'm bad at this.
But this isn't where it's at.
And I like the other stuff better.
Yeah, I had a chip on my shoulder when I went to school because of 3D animation. And I love 3D stuff, but it's not for me. Like I'd rather do the 2D stuff. It's just that's what I want. And, and 2D television animation at this point is like pretty amazing. Especially when you look at the stuff we grew up with, but just like the way, like just watching the animation that my kids watch, and I'm like, man, the animation's way better now than it ever was when I was a kid. Like this is like theatrical good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's insane. Which I'm glad. I'm glad that, you know, there's still really, really wonderful, really amazing stuff coming out. Like I'm happy that it didn't in some way become so homogenized that it's just meh.
Yeah, and that's due to a conscious effort to get different people creating in the field. We don't need the same voice. We need everybody's voice.
Yep. Telling different and unique stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, chat. I'm so sorry. I was feeling very passionate about all of that and ignored you for a bit. And yes, Guardian Randy makes a great point. It's funny because when we were in school, so we were in college studying animation in the early 2000s and early to I guess mid until the 2010. I don't know how to describe that. Avatar got a lot of flack from people saying it was an American knockoff of anime.
American anime.
Yeah, like that was the language used around it. Yeah, and it's absolutely beloved now. T2C2, hello. Also said eliminating the Arrowverse.
Yeah. That happened with that merger. Yeah, the Arrowverse is ending. That's being done away with.
But then T2C2 Aaron asks, how are my artist friends today? And I would say we're fired up, but also I think we're good.
Yeah.
Can you tell we care about things?
We just have a lot of feelings. Yeah, I get so frustrated when amazing artists and animators and creators are treated so poorly. Like it just kills me.
Yeah. I think I've told the story.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think I told the story about how I got to see Avatar before it came out, like the initial pitch of it.
I think I should tell it again.
At the Art Institute, they brought it when I was there in 03 through 05. They brought it. The creators brought it in, showed us the proof of concept animation they did for it, and talked about starting it up. And it was a lot of fun. That was the only thing that the Art Institute ever like brought somebody in on. Like, here's some professional animators from Nickelodeon, and like, I'm going to that.
Yeah. We had awesome. A Harvey Birdman guy. That's the one I remember us getting in. But it's bad because, and it was tough because he got asked a lot of questions specific to the show, which was not a show I knew a ton about, so I wasn't engaged in that part. But I will never forget, I loved it because somebody asked him either what did you go to school for or what's your degree in? And his thing was like, I didn't finish school because I got scouted and I left and then went and started working. And I was like, what a flex to say this to a huge room of college students. That's amazing.
I dropped out.
Yep. And I think even like he kept going because he's like, yeah, and even at this point, like my resume, I don't need it for school because I've worked on all these projects. So good. I think even there was one year where I got a chance to go to the Ottawa Animation Festival. And I feel like in a number of the conversations I had with people or stuff, like there were the percentage of people who actually had a degree in animation versus the percentage of people who were just making the art was surprisingly like even, if not even skewed a little bit more towards people who just didn't finish their degree or hadn't pursued it as a degree. Which I always thought was very fascinating. Yeah, how your little Pokemon legs work. Oh yeah. Guardian Randy says we also had some guys in from the studio that worked on the Metroid Prime games. Oh. I'm trying to remember. Also, I'm sorry. I'm slowly just ruminating through a bunch of the stuff you said, Jeff. Like I'm so baffled by somebody who hates animation, who buys an animation studio.
Yeah.
Like, why? Why?
He wanted all the rest of the stuff. With all the movies and stuff. Like the I don't know.
I'm sure we're going to get some great new reality TV out of all of it. Some more Pawn Stars or...
Yeah. He's pushing for more Harry Potter movies. So
yes.
Why? Why?
I think we need to concentrate on more Harry Potter movies. Be like, dude, you do realize that there's 7 books, you made 8 movies. Plus those other 3 that you just decided were no longer going to be made anymore.
I love that
Fantastic
there was
Beasts
just
movies.
a quiet, like, what beasts? We don't have beasts.
Yeah.
We don't have
Fantastic what's? No.
Oh.
We want this play that was written turned into a movie.
Because it was so well received.
Uh-huh.
I just hope they're not making a gazillion dollars on merchandise every year anyway.
I really hope that all the actors though that were originally in the movies were like they'll be like, no, we're good. Like I don't think Daniel Radcliffe wants to go back to.
I don't think any
Harry
of them
Potter.
really do.
He's so much better than all of that material that he did that back then, and now he's just. I don't think he wants to. I think he's like, I'm good.
I also love. I love his trajectory. Where as soon as he's released from Harry Potter, he's like, I'm gonna get so weird, but it's amazing. I love it.
I'll never get over that initial still shot from Guns Akimbo that they have of him just standing in the streets looking crazy with 2 guns nailed to his hands in his bathrobe, and I'm like,
with
yes,
the big like
this is
bear
what I
paw
want.
slippers. Oh
Yeah.
God. Which again, I'm probably reading too much into it, but because he was so similar in age to me, like they're a little bit younger, but the books were like it hit right with where I was at in school. Like you could not more perfectly capsulize the experience that my generation went through with like we're so young and optimistic and Harry Potter, and then Harry Potter gets real dark at the end, and now we're all insane.
Yes.
Because you've broken us. Like, it's so perfect. All right. What do your eyebrows look like? Mine. Something I extra enjoy about this challenge too is the it forces me to consistently go back and look at the reference material, because if I'm not consciously thinking about it, I will start to slip into my own style.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. And Geoff, you're welcome to clip that and send it to your students. see, it's not just me.
Reference. I had a student that got mad at me because, I mean, she argues with me about almost everything to begin with, but like, first of all, she didn't want to use the programs that we like. She didn't want to use Toon Boom. She's like, "Do we have to?" I was like, "Yes."
Next question.
And she's like, "Why?" I go, "Because when you get hired and they tell you they use Toon Boom, you're using Toon Boom.
Yep.
Like, so that's what you have to use." And then, so this past week, 2 weeks ago, we're doing. They had to use video reference and then do exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her, I go, she's really good animator. She's been animating for a while. And like, so she's got a lot of good timing and everything, but she uses smear frames as a crutch. Like, she uses them all the time. And I go, "You are not allowed to use smear frames." She's like, she goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "I don't want you using smear frames on this assignment." She's like, but I was like, "No." So of course she turned it in. There's smear frames in it. I go, "Didn't I tell you not to use these?" And she's like, "But I'd like to." I was like, "But you can't. Like, I told you not to use it. And if you get into a studio that doesn't use smear frames, then you're gonna, you're using these as a crutch. Like, you animate really, really well. Have more confidence in your abilities." And she's like,
Yeah.
"But if I don't use a smear frame, then how am I supposed to time that out?" I go, "Do you see this frame here? And you see this frame here? You know that it's going fast." I was like, "So you take this frame that you have a smear frame in, and you take the one that's closest to your second frame, because you have to ease out." And she's like, "But won't it look choppy?" I go, "No, it's one frame. Like, it's one frame. It's not like it doesn't change your timing. You're just taking it from having like 4 iterations of the same arm to only having one. There just won't be a smear." She's like, I don't like it." I was like, "I don't care." I was like, "Your boss is going to tell you that he doesn't care too. And if you continue to use smear frames and they don't want those on their show, you're going to get fired." Like, It's the way it is. Like,
yep.
Like, you're an adult now. You have to follow instructions.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, well, you're still a baby, and I'm going to let you do the things you want to do.
Right.
No, if you get hired somewhere and they say don't do it, and you continue to do it, then...
Because there is, you, in an incredibly cynical way, you are very replaceable. There's someone else who can do that job and will do what they ask. And
plenty of other people lined up behind you. Yeah.
Yep. Which, again, it took me a while to kind of understand some of the nuance of that, in that it doesn't mean sell your soul and let them abuse you. But what it does mean is, here's the importance of how a pipeline type process works, and what it truly means to be a part of a team and a part of a studio. And that, like, again, if you're the director and you get to determine how it looks, then great. You can be particular and say everybody do smear frames.
Sure.
But if you are not that person, then you're very much at the behest of, like, who is the director and who is the art director and all of these things, determining how it's going to be.
Not to mention, smear frames should not be used all that often anyway.
I feel like it diminishes the cool effect of them.
Exactly.
Like, and it's different from, I remember, no. I kind of remember half of a bit of information. My stupid garbage brain. But there was a video game that was coming out, and it wasn't Cuphead being fully animated, but it was another one along those same lines. And a big thing they did was a whole bunch of smear frames. And I'm like, no, this makes sense because you have sprites and you have a repeated cycled animation.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, that's a different thing. So it works for that sense because you're going to keep seeing these same movements over again because of how video game plays, You don't want that in an animation. Because all of a sudden, again, like you're saying, like you took what was different and unique and made it the same. Because if you're doing it all the time, then it's just the same.
Yeah, it's in every single one. You're like, okay, well, we get it. Like, it's moving fast, but it really should be used for like special occasions and all
holidays, birthdays.
Yeah, you bring it out once a year. You dust it off,
and then everyone's like, "Oh
yeah, I remember this. Let's put it back away."
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm still just laughing at this terrible thing I've drawn. Well, it's less Spirited Away and it's more dipping into Princess Mononoke nightmare fuel.
All the same studio.
Mm-hmm. Oh, what was it? Oh, balls. I wish I could remember. I listening to a podcast on Miyazaki, and it was talking about how there was one little bit of Princess Mononoke, one of the creatures that was animated by like a different studio or working in conjunction with them, or I think that was the only piece of 3D in the whole movie, and how I'm just like, yeah, it's terrifying. I think it had to be the boar, the boar that had all of the
wormies.
Yeah.
The worms. Yeah, I remember seeing that movie. They one of my fellow students. I was a artist too at the time. I was like 98, 99, because we were all sitting in the animation studio working on our stuff, and our instructor let him bring in a movie, and it was in Japanese. Like, obviously, we weren't gonna like get totally lost in the movie because we couldn't understand it. But I just remember seeing it and going, what is going on? I have to see this with at least subtitles.
Yeah.
And it was just like so frightening to see that kind of stuff. Not know.
Yeah. Because I just friggin' love that movie so much. But it's not my like go-to, like, I would like to feel nice Studio Ghibli movie, because it just drops you right in. Like, stuff is bad from the very beginning, and you're like, oh God.
Things are happening already. What?
Yeah. And I mean, if you don't if you don't watch the English dub, you miss out on the incredible voice talents of Billy Bob Thornton. It's so bonkers, I can't. Sorry, it's just so nutty. So nutty to me.
Did you watch The Castle in the Sky with English dub with James Vanderbeek?
No. I feel like I've only ever watched that one subbed. I'll have to.
Yeah, it's him, and it's Anna Paquin is the girl, and they're both bad.
Well, what's it? It's Kirsten Dunst in Princess Mononoke, isn't it? Isn't she the one?
I think so.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in forever.
It's it's the it people of the moment. Where you're like,
Phil Hartman in Kiki's Delivery Service, though, that as the cat is like, that one's pretty bad too. Or was that him in that, or was it Billy Crystal?
It was not Billy Crystal.
Okay, yeah, I think it's Phil Hartman.
Oh, okay. Kirsten Dunst is Kiki. Oh, okay, that's impressive.
Oh, okay, well there you go.
I hated Kirsten Dunst, but I have such the soft spot for Kiki's Delivery Service. I will rewatch that. I know it's slow, but I love it. Also, literally like crazy independent woman artist who just lives out in the woods by herself, and I'm like, I kind of dig that. Not a bad life. All right, let's see. I'll look up. Actually, Jeff, you've gotten farther than I have. You look up the voice casting. I'm gonna keep drawing.
I can look up for which one? Are all of them?
Yes.
Just look up all of them.
It's just. Sorry, I can't stop laughing at this terrible thing. All right.
Yeah, Randy put it in the chat there that Claire Danes is Mononoke.
Oh,
and,
okay.
I gotta find who else is in
Because
there.
that was right around like Romeo and Juliet coming out. So I feel like
97.
she was starting to get like she was big. This guy just said we would look at some.
Keith David. He should be in everything.
He should be in everything.
Yeah, that's a solid pick.
Jada Pinkett Smith.
Okay. All right. So which one are we on? Are we on Mononoke?
This is the Mononoke. Yeah.
Okay.
Billy Crudup.
Gillian Anderson's the wolf, I think.
She is. Yeah, I believe you're right.
Which I thought she was really good. Yeah, Wolf Mom. Wolf Mommy. I feel like she managed to get the perfect amount of like spite that Wolf Mom had. Like I was like, oh, Wolf Mom is pissed.
Minnie Driver. And your usual voice actors are in here too, like Tara Strong and John DiMaggio and Corey Burton.
Yeah. Which makes me happy. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
How do I do it? And I forget what I was. Oh, I was listening to someone talk about it on TikTok, but they were talking about how you're very susceptible to the first voice or first iteration of something you hear, whether it's a musical performance. So if you hear like the live version first, then when you go to listen to like the studio recording, you're like, oh, that's not the same as I remember. Different. And it's the same with voices. Like now that I have watched Kiki's Delivery Service so many times with that American male actor as Gigi's voice, I'm like, I can't picture it as anybody else. Like it just sounds wrong. They also changed one of the songs and made me feel like I was insane because I was like, this isn't the right song. This isn't the right song. What did you do? Put it back. Put it back.
Yeah, it was Phil Hartman. That's
Gigi, look, it's me. That's so good.
It's Troy McClure.
And though I remember Mononoke, like watching trailer for it, or like it was on another like VHS that we had rented. It was definitely like it got a surprising amount of marketing for that English dub.
I wonder if that was around the same time as. I know Disney had a partnership with Ghibli for a little bit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was with Mononoke because I remember it being like in the papers and stuff, like, oh, Disney does anime or something. Japanimation.
Hey, Japanimation!
Yeah, it was 96 when they became the sole distributor to Studio Ghibli, so that was right before Mononoke, because that was 97. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
I remember all the hubbub around Spirited Away when that came out.
Yeah. Which that one I really want to go back and watch again. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's what I'll do today. Because
Hooray.
again, this is to my own failing. I went into it expecting something different. And it could have just been like the trailer that I watched before it, because I was like, what? You mean that American trailer makers didn't accurately show what the Ghibli movie was gonna be?
What?
Yeah, but I don't know. I had so many people who said how much they loved it, and I was just like, I didn't love it. Uh-oh.
Is it me that's wrong? No.
No.
Yeah, that was because it won the Oscar, right? It won the Oscar that year. So it was like it had high expectations if you hadn't seen it, and I hadn't seen it. I knew nothing about it. And I just went out and I was like, I'm buying this DVD because it says it's good. And I was like, yeah, it was good. That dude without a face is weird.
Aw, no face. Tell you what, again, it's something about pigs and boars, because the parents getting turned into pigs also freaked me out. I was like, oh, I don't like it.
They're eating and other pigs, and now they can't stop eating. And
no, bad. Yeah. Impressive to me, too, though, that, like, Don Bluth aside, I don't feel like there's a lot of animated shows that are not specifically like horror anime or something like that. Like through plenty of bright lighting and simplistic design, Miyazaki can be really scary and make you feel like I'm so impressed with how powerless you feel as an audience member, much like the fact that the protagonist is a child. Like they do such a good job with that. Like, no, it's scary. It's scary because you're lost in a place you don't know, and the people who are supposed to be your guides and help you can't.
That's uncomfortable.
It is uncomfortable. Yeah, too pinky. Why do you look wrong? I'll say, Professor Geoff, I would very much like to utilize my full 2 weeks that I have to work on this.
No. This is a timed one. You have to be done in 15 minutes or else you fail.
Oh, okay. All right, we can fix this. Man, I almost got 3 full styles. Saved Adventure Time for the end because I was so scared. I was like, ah, I'm so bad at this style. To be fair,
I remember looking at Adventure Time being like, this will be an easy one to put in. And then looking at the characters and being like, they're all the same. How do I can't distinguish this?
Yes. None of you have distinctive anything.
And I was like, okay, so so all of the animals look like this, or is it just like Jake that looks like this, or yeah. And again, it is deceptively difficult because it looks so simple. You don't get those wiggle lines in the right place, and they don't look correct.
But if it's off just a little bit, right?
It's so wrong.
It's that Powerpuff Girls thing. Like, oh, that looks easy. Draw one. I
struggle with Powerpuff Girls. Like, it's really hard. The last one of these that we did, I picked Powerpuff Girls, and I was like, this in my brain, this shouldn't be so hard. but if you don't get their eyes because there's so much of their skull, if it's in the wrong spot, it looks so weird.
Yeah, I've never successfully gotten it right. Like, I can see where I'm going for, but it's not quite there.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's something about designs that skew basic anatomy so far that make them really hard to do easy, like really hard to parrot. I remember the first time I tried to draw fan art of Leela from Futurama.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to figure out how her head would actually work with one giant eye in the middle.
This makes no sense.
You're like, where's the nose and how are the cheeks? And
literally today on my drive home, as I'm trying to figure out which character I'm going to do, I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a character from Phineas and Ferb. And then I had that moment of like, no, because they exist in a weird dimension that does, that's more brain than you have right now. It's like, shoot, I can't do that. I can't.
That's perhaps one of my favorite things about Gumball is there is no style.
Yep.
Like, yes, the main family kind of has a style, but no, look at the world. They're all something different. Live action puppet? Sure. Bring it on. Person's actual mouth that's upside down in a green in a suit, and yes, bring it on. Like 3D animation, yes. Cutout animation, yes. All of it fits. All of it. This is our world. It's all in there.
So good. All right, he's looking a little less monstrous. Kind of cute. What is this pose? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Looks like a tongue. I don't know.
It does look like a tongue.
It looks like a tongue. All right, let's see if we can fix that. I realized too they very rarely give Roufus like ears. I think the naked mole rat ones are kind of like interior.
Yeah, little...
And I was just like, uh-oh. I realized that I struggle if my animal character doesn't have ears. Like, apparently I do a lot with that.
Things look wrong without certain things. Yeah. It's like when because you don't draw ears, they look wrong. You don't draw eyebrows, they look wrong. Like, there's a lot of things that like you get used to drawing, and if you forget it or that character design doesn't have it, you're like, this looks so wrong.
Yeah. Okay, so is it better if he doesn't have a nose? Nope, I don't think that's it. I don't think so. Nope. Didn't make it better. I would love to. Better. I would love to see, especially because naked mole rat's such a weird animal to design in the first place. Like, I'd love to see the concept stuff that went into it.
Oof.
Just because I'm like, I feel like because he's very cute. Like, at the end of it, they came up with a really cute character, but I was like, you can't tell me he came out of the ideation phase like that.
That'd be a great thing to ask Steven Silver. Just be like, dude, how did you come up with that design for that? Because we know there's some ugly, crazy shit that he did.
Yeah. I was like, he had to be ugly for a really long time before he got so cute.
I like comparing character designs from season 1 to like season 5, if they last that long, to see how they've changed or how the artists finally figured out how to really draw them better.
Yep. Or
like
they got a bigger budget and they could actually hire more people.
I like looking at the Simpsons from when they were on the Tracy Ullman show
Oh
to
my
what they look like
gosh.
now. You're like, those are two totally different things.
Well, and so that was the thing when Joey was talking about drawing Leela. Like Matt Groening's style, it's much like Invader Zim. It is so specific that like I feel like you have to practice in that style for so long to just be able to create characters in that way. Like I can mimic it, but it's not how I think when I think of a character. And so, yeah, to actually...
I was hired by a company once that they were doing all of their employees as Simpsons characters. So like I had to take their pictures and quote unquote Simpsonize them. It took so long to get used to like drawing that style. It was just crazy.
Also, I feel like because luckily the one time I had to Simpsonize someone, actually I did it twice. Both of the people that I was doing were unique enough that you could add aspects of them onto the base model and have it make sense. Yeah. But you know what a lot of people are? Really basic. They're incredibly generic. They don't have a lot of features that set them apart for
They're just a blank slate.
Like I get it, and I'm not a caricature person. I don't like them. I think they're ugly, and I think they can be really cruel. But at least to that aspect, I'm like, no, you can kind of pull out.
That's where you have to put your brain in order to do that kind of stuff, though. Is you have to be like, I have to find something unique about this person to make this character look like them. Mm-hmm. It's not like you're not trying to be like, oh, this person's got a giant nose and their teeth are all crooked and like that kind of caricature. I don't like at all. Like I do, I agree. It can get mean and it can get like if you don't have thick skin when you go and sit down to get your caricature done, then you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
But like doing something like that where they're like, oh, can you draw me as this? Be like, okay. You have to put that brain into caricature artist brain for a little while just to make the character look different or not just like some generic thing.
Yeah. I always think of anytime and it's usually bigger teams and it's usually people who work in a more corporate setting, but we want all of our bank employees to look like cartoons and you're like,
I'm sure you do.
I'm sure you do.
Have you gotten all of their permission to do this? Because some of them won't appreciate it. I guarantee it.
I'm like, oh boy. And also, part of the thing is when you have a dress code and a company policy like that, like some of the expectation is for people to look very similar.
Yeah.
But we're not really banking on individuality here.
Here's generic guy in a tie, number 4.
Okay, but this one has light brown hair instead of just brown hair. Great, they're all gonna be yellow anyways.
Yeah. They're all copy and pasted and no one notices.
He just changed the color of the tie.
Look, it's me. You're like, yes.
I think this one's you, Bill, but I'm not sure because it looks just like Jim's. They all get them and they're like, it's me. Look, it looks just like me. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it does.
Job done.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's amazing. Bend that a little bit more. Yeah, that's better. Well, what we've determined is I'm very good at drawing Kim. I'm not so good at drawing Roufus. That's good. That's good.
It's that simple character design that's hard to do.
It's hard to do. I like the Pokemon one is real cute. It was a cute little face.
I want to see his evolution.
No. Okay. So, let's say, then we can probably wrap this up and do show and tell. Let Joey get to a stopping point because I think I need to stop for a little bit because they're just going to get more scary. So for the SlootyMage class I had recently, I had them work on Pokemon, and I love teaching Pokemon because they're all these great shapes. They feed right into exactly what you were saying earlier, like simple shapes and all of this. And it's such a great learning thing and breakdown, because a lot of the times, like, a lot of the kids don't draw them. They love them, but they don't
Yeah.
draw them. And so it's like, no, this is awesome. Like, we'll talk about it. And even for kids who don't know the series, which shocks me, I had like half of the class didn't know Pokemon well enough. And I'm like, seriously? How do you not know? But all right, whatever. Okay. I have books, I have printouts, like, we can do this. But I had them then design their own. And part of it was, you're going to design a starter, and then it's up to you. You can design a middle evolution, you can design the final evolution, you can design a mega evolution if you want, but you have to show me this character evolved. And I said, the big thing we talked about is you can keep as many or as few elements of it, but I need to know that they are related. And I know that not all Pokemon's evolutions look directly like their starters and whatnot, but for this, for the majority of them, for this exercise, like, they need to tie together. And it was fun. I think I talked about this at one point. Like, I got one of the best compliments from students, because I teach middle schoolers, and they're not always really overflowing with compliments for the teacher. But I had taken the piece that I'd worked on and I'd colored it because I was having fun with it. And I liked my characters, and I had the studio printed out so I could show them. And I was showing the one kid. He's like, wow, this is really good. I'm like, thank you so much. Like, I was really proud of it. He's like, wait, did you draw this? I was like, yeah, these are the ones. Like, this is my ideation in class. Then I took it home. He's like, I thought you just printed it off the internet. I'm like, no, that one is I made that. Thank you.
Did he give you a gold star after you're done? Because that would have topped it off.
Miss Emily, you did very well today. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. I feel it. Thank you. Oh, it's so funny. But I was just like, you thought that just came from the internet. Ha ha ha! I won. That's amazing. All right, Geoff, would you like to?
Here's my Pokemon evolutions. I did this a long time ago.
Oh my god!
Back when my youngest was still a baby, so I did this for one of my comics.
Oh, I love the way you draw yourself so much. It's so good.
I'm just a box. It's just a box with arms.
But the expressions are so good. Like, there are times where there's so, like, your eyes and your eyebrows, there's so much going on that it's
that's what I like to, like, really kind of flex, like, the facial stuff. Like, I'm very big fan of, like, the UPA style stuff from back in the 50s and 60s. So, like, that's kind of where, especially when I turn my head sideways, it's just like nose and whatever. So
yeah, no, that hard line you get for your nose is so good. It's so good.
Well, here's my thing that I did for the day.
All right, let's do big show and tell so everybody can see. Look at him. Oh,
I took a simple character design, Jonny Quest from the 70s, and he's just a long sleeve T-shirt and jeans kid. So because it's easy to translate among different things. So yeah, Powderpuff Girls again didn't nail it, but close enough.
It's very close though. Like I think if you have the time to draw him a few more times,
body proportions should be smaller, I think, and then the head should be more round, more oval. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard. The proportion thing is hard to put down.
It's tough too because I feel like so many of the characters have like secondary hair because a lot of them are girls and stuff. So without secondary hair, it almost makes him look like he's missing something, even though he's not.
Yeah. That's the hard thing, but though, like, because if you look at like the men on the show, they're like contained in the head. Like the professor and the mayor might have extra hair.
I think he wears a hat, right?
He does wear a hat, yeah.
Yeah. Also, secondary hair just makes me laugh as a statement. The secondary hair.
I just need primary hair.
It's so fun.
Yeah. So that second one being Adventure Time, he's more just like a bean. I probably could have squared off that bean a little bit more to make it more Adventure Time-y, but that's more the eyes and the face is very much just dots and smudge.
Yeah.
And then regular show we talked about a little bit. That's a lot in the face and the hands. Distinctively, the noses are very much just droopy noses. And then Batman the Animated Series at the end there. That's not the best model I've ever drawn in that style, but
No, I like it though, and the pose is perfect. Like how he's standing, feels so much
It's
animated
hard
series.
not to give in that style. It's hard not to give everybody just this barrel chest and have
Yep.
them standing very heroically.
Yeah.
So like I tried to model it off of the New Adventures model of Robin because
Yeah.
younger and less muscly, but
Yeah, no, he gives me big time Robin vibes, which and it's always controversial because I really liked season 4 of Batman the Animated
yes,
Series, but it's when they
Yeah.
changed styles.
everything. Yep.
But Robin in that is some of my
Oh, he's
favorite.
great. Yeah.
Like his animation is so good, his design is so good. So
Yeah, there was I don't know where it was. It might be in a book that I have, but there's comparisons between the original designs and the season 4, the New Adventures designs. And most of them, it's like, yeah, they improved, but there are a couple where it's like, I kind of like the older one better.
Yeah.
But not usually, because I really do dig the more streamlined stuff that they did in season 4.
I think the only thing that bummed me out is, and I understand it because it fits, but they made the women in Gotham look way more cartoony, and in the original they looked more like women.
Yeah.
And like so it was just tough because it was like Poison Ivy wears a leotard. She's got hips, she's got shoulders, like she had more proportion to her. And so in the different style, like they have the really tapered waist, they have the
That
really
may have been one of the downgrades, I think, was her.
Yeah.
Like, I think her design didn't translate as well.
Yeah, and I think so that was just like a bummer because I was like, oh, like again, it was of the time where the standard was also heroin chic and super thin. So to have another thing, I'm like, no, not more of this. So no, these look awesome. I love it. You did a great job.
Very cool.
A+, gold stars all around. Snowy time.
Hello.
Hello.
Let me get my mug out of here so we can see all of these. Boop. All right.
Oh,
Yay.
these are fun.
Yeah, they nailed them all.
Wish I could have got to playing around with a little color, but I mean, we'll see that eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the lower bottom left?
Bottom left, Star versus the Forces of Evil.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah. I like it because they all have different feel. Like One Piece is spot on. That one just they're all great.
A lot of One Piece is the eyes, right?
Yep.
Like, they have a very distinct eye design in that show, and if you can nail that, you can basically hit the style.
It's so funny too because I feel like it's different things for different shows, but there's always like one thing where you're like, okay, if you can nail this, then you'll get the feel of the show. Yeah.
That was another thing. Like My Hero, I knew I had to flare the hair out a little bit because every character has those sort of little hair spikies on the end.
Yeah.
And that's most of where, and it's that, and like changing the lines for like Scott Pilgrim, so you have to go to like a really super heavy line for that Brian Lee O'Malley style.
Yep.
Which
and two, the eye, the amount
different.
that the eye takes up on the head, much like Powerpuff Girls. Like you don't necessarily realize how big their eyes are until you see them, in other styles. Yeah, no, these look great. I can't wait to see them colored. Also, super fun. Like, I love that it's your own character. Like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yay! Oh, and I did the bad thing. Jeff, I forgot. Tell the people where they can find you.
Oh, you can find me on the internet on Twitter at gmoney, GMUNNY. You can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Jeffrey.Munn. My regular website is jeffmunn.com, and I have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/pocketscience. Hopefully I've got some big news coming up probably after the holidays, towards the beginning of the new year. Gonna be putting myself out there a little bit and seeing if I can't get some stuff going. So
Yeah.
Keep an eye out everywhere.
All right, and Joey, where can people find you?
So you can find all my art stuff everywhere on the internet at SlootyMage. And then you can listen to the podcast I'm on at Older and Dumber. That's the letter N.
Yes.
Um,
Yes. If you just search Older and Dumber, you do not find it. I have tried. It does not work.
Written in the dumbest way.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I always wanted to mention that SlootyMage is Leet speak.
Yes.
So,
Zeros. All the vowels are numbers.
yeah. Oh, nope.
But you can game with me too. So just
Yay!
search it up. We play games almost every night. So if you're a gamer and you want to play games with the Older and Dumber crew, just hit me up.
I will also speak to them. They're super fun. I enjoy the Older and Dumber crew. It's a good time. Good time. And yeah, look for potential Older and Doodle coming back. And
Yeah, let's
doing something
go.
fun. Yeah. All right. So I did not get as far as anybody else, but yay! So there's my. I'm also realizing at some point I managed to change the color. So Roufus is one color and Kim is another color. But
I love doing that.
yeah.
Figured out that I inked in the wrong color. So
Yep.
much fun.
Yay, good. Luckily, Clip Studio, it has a thing where I can mostly fix that pretty easily. So yeah, but very fun. I used a pose straight out of the two main characters just because, again, I wanted to give myself a little bit of ease because I struggle with that style. And like I said, we went Studio Ghibli. Yep. I don't have anything more to say about
rat. That's a whole lot of mole rat.
a whole lot of mole rat as a weird dragon. Yep. I'm like, well, she's got to hang on to something, so he's getting just things.
Yeah. Handlebars.
Handlebars. Yeah. Yeah. But then we've got, which honestly, her outfit lends itself perfectly to
that's so
Pokemon
good.
Trainer.
That's so good.
Yeah. No, that one, I think that was probably the one I ended up feeling the most comfortable with. Because the other two styles are so simplistic compared to, not that I draw detailed, but they're a lot more simplistic than I usually do. But yeah, this was fun. It was good.
It was fun.
It was good. And hey, yeah, you can find me all across the internet at a swan named Emily. I forgot what I was gonna say. Who knows? You can follow Doodle Crew at Doodle Crew Draw. We post our art on Instagram, Facebook, and I advertise things on Twitter. So you can follow us there if you want to see more about the artist, find out more information. We have a link tree. Also, these will be promoted differently, but there are possibly upcoming episodes of Doodle Crew, which is the Doodle Crew After Dark. The 18,
Yeah, let's go.
18 plus rating, which these two lovely gentlemen have been on. So we're in the works for that. Still trying to figure out a way to stream it so that the chat can participate and not break TOS on every platform I'm on. Yay! But yeah, watch out for that. We'll do more of that. So if you want some 18 plus drawings, that's the place to go. So thank you so much, everyone. We love you all. Goodbye.